Hey guys, Kevin Cage back with another cryptocurrency update. Welcome to the channel. Like and subscribe if you're serious about the digital asset space. And let's get right into it today. One take and uncut. Okay, just doing some additional research. Again, a lot of information provided by King Solomon, Matthew Liny, I Am Legion, etc. And as we can see here, guys, even Visa, of course, with Flutterwave and their connections, Flutterwave's RippleNet connection, of course, to help with, Africa and kind of cross-border payments. We'll get into that in future videos as just kind of doing some reading. But I have a bunch of info to get through today. So please be patient, and I'm going to try my best to tie it all together. So let's get into it. So right here, guys, I know that even Jim Rickards has been a well-known advocate for calling, $10,000 per ounce for gold long-term. And a lot of people say it's crazy, but, multiple analysts have checked his work and they do support it. Now, the question is how fast do we get to that point? And I kind of wanted to show you this, and basically here we have Kia Crypto, guys, and his calls, believe it or not, have been relatively accurate, and he believes that gold, $14,000 per ounce, is coming. Now, I would love to see this, and kind of it goes in line with a lot of things that I've been hearing and reading. Expect, towards end of year, maybe, September, even closer to Q4, a big move with the metals market. Now, right here, does this mean that we could see a lower leg and kind of another dump for, gold and silver? I'm not sure, but I'm saying long-term trend. Do not be surprised to see, $5,000, $10,000, even $14,000 per ounce of gold. During these times, if there is some type of reset potentially, this would not be surprising. Now, what I'm saying, I don't believe, I'm not saying XRP to this valuation whatsoever. What I'm saying is gold alone will not be enough to kind of fractionally back this new system that we're going towards. And we'll get into that as well. If you haven't seen the previous video, check it out. We kind of go over what China's doing and pushing for this new monetary global system in depth and detail. There's so many things coming into place, guys. And I just believe that digital assets and precious metals are the places to be. Now, digital assets, of course, as we come towards this internet of value, still have to transfer any physical value when it's tokenized. So whether it is gold, equities, etc. All right. So gold will not be enough, of course, to back this new system. I think, oil and the energy sector will be important and, play a very, very, important role for this. So keep that in mind, and it will still need to interoperate. All right. And then again, we still need liquidity between those two. All right, let's get into it. So right here, Arturo Portilla. So very interesting job positions at Ripple now. So we have additional jobs, guys, even during this, economy. We're seeing them continuously hire new people to develop liquidity, partnerships via Wall Street, institutional buyers, etc. So we're just going to breeze through this briefly. So staffed software engineer for liquidity will build a distributed trading platform that provides real-time access to crypto markets, liquidity aggregation. All right. And then we also have a product manager for RippleNet Home. And I know we've seen that video clip. Imagine kind of Facebook for financial institutions and banks, finding partners, exchange rates, etc. It's really, really neat. I know there's been some demo videos, and they even played and demonstrated for the folks over at Swell last year in Singapore. All right, and Swell's Ripple's annual event. Funny enough, Swift, kind of the competitor, of course, they're merely just messaging. And they can't really afford their own, so they kind of use Correspondent Banking Network and their partners to do that for settlement. And that's kind of what XRP is aiming to replace, is that settlement mechanism with finality. Swift's annual event, Sibos, has been canceled altogether. Now, I understand with the current pandemic circumstances kind of validate that, but I think that they're also kind of, archaic at this point, kind of pointless, to be frank. I think by end of year, as we're rolling out, as we can see all these banks with digital wallets and utilizing, newer technology and even DLT, that percentage of banks around the globe is well over 50%, is increasing, exponentially at this rate, especially with the billions of dollars. Blockchain is going to play a role. Cryptocurrencies will absolutely play a role. But to be honest, there's going to be so much more built upon DLT in terms of record keeping and, insurance claims and just, information efficiency. It's, we're honestly just going to play kind of a small role, in my opinion, but there's so much value and money to be made for those that are early. All right. If everyone realized that there was so much money to be made right now and they're in the space, it would kind of defeat the purpose of this narrative to go towards a level playing field. Right. So time is ticking. And that's just my belief. All right, so again, Arturo kind of goes in depth and detail. I thought this was really, really interesting. Again, in the latest blog by Brienne Madigan, as we can see here, Global Institutional Markets, or Head of Global Institutional Markets at Ripple, and again, formerly at Goldman Sachs, as we say, connections within connections, guys. These are high-level people. Liquidity in global markets, she said, even non-ODL partners exchanges like Kraken or Coinbase, some of the biggest and oldest exchanges, will contribute to increased liquidity. Now, this is in reference to XRP's liquidity, guys, in the liquidity in the overall marketplace for these regulated financial institutions and central banks. We've already known that now they said they're actively working with 50 governments around the globe. All right. There's greater plans occurring. They're not at a standstill. All right. And now he believes, I think this is what they're building, and kind of just, referencing that as well. So I do find that to be really interesting. As non-ODL partner exchanges continue to grow more mainstream, larger institutional traders will begin transacting in XRP, making order books, including ODL order books, even more liquid. That's what we want. All right. The most liquid assets are going to win this race as that bridge asset, the universal bridge asset. All right, next, Ripple's also looking for an engineering manager for ODL product. We can kind of see, look, on-demand liquidity continuously growing. Today, the world sends more than $155 trillion across borders. Talking about the flawed infrastructure, talking about how RippleNet can provide, obviously, improvements for the operational efficiency, cost, etc. And then we can see looking for an engineer to manage ODL, and a critical part of defining the future trajectory of on-demand liquidity and RippleNet. All right, so we keep going, guys. There's just too much going on, too much growth. And don't just be focused on Ripple. You have to look at their partners and indirect partners. Then you have to look at what R3 is doing with Corda. You kind of have to look at, even the central banks in terms of their walled gardens and CBDCs and doing trials for settlements. We went in depth and detail about how these utility, or I should say settlement tokens, actually drive XRP adoption. All right. Xcurrents, again, guys, managing liquidity and compliance with associated regulations. It's all happening day by day. And I understand, but price. Oh, but the supply, but the competitor, but Bitcoin, but centralization. I've heard it all for years. I just simply have zero doubt with what Ripple, what the XRP ecosystem is doing and becoming. And with that, I encourage you guys to question everything. This is not financial advice. This is one man's opinion and belief with this particular asset class. All right, you can disagree with me. That is completely fine. So virtually the entire Algorand team also is now specifically working on on-demand liquidity. So just briefly right here, back last year in September, Ripple continues acquisition streak, expands European operations to Iceland. So Iceland, guys, is actually going to be an interesting center point as well. So we already talked about this, of course. Last week, the company announced its acquisition of Logos, their Logos network, adding 8 full-time engineers to the Spring team who will lead the charge in exploring solutions for a decentralized finance system built on XRP. And yes, guys, they're working on derivative products. You get the gist. Swaps, options, etc. This is a massive intangible market worth trillions on the low end. All right. And now what's happening now is with Algorand, and I just want to read it specifically here. So right here, this Algorand team, guys, right here, the new Icelandic team will play an integral role in the ongoing development of Ripple's ODL, which utilizes XRP. Iceland will serve as one of Ripple's engineering hubs with plans to bring on more technical talent in the region. All right, with built-in expertise in trading and exchanges, the addition of Algorand's engineering talent to our team will be instrumental in continuing the momentum we're already experiencing with ODL, said Christopher Cannon, SVP of Engineering. We've been committed to sourcing expert crypto and trading talent in key global markets since day one, and the acquisition of the Algorand engineering team is a successful example of doing that. And again, in other articles, and even this one, Algorand CEO just kind of talking about, being believers in XRP and the XRPL. And what I want to emphasize in every single video for newcomers specifically is, you hear about XRP, but we don't really talk about the XRP ledger, the DEX, the ability for IOUs, and all of the amazing applications that you can actually build on top of it. The scalability, of course, is great. But when you look at it, it really does make XRP one of the best options in the market today, with 7 years of trials and proof of concepts, and there's never been one ledger not successfully closed. We're talking over 50 million plus. This is something that is finally nearing maturity and getting ready for true institutional adoption. They, test the small players, test the, financial institutions that are tiny. They scale up, and we're going to kind of show further depth and detail the partners and the level of groups that they're working with. Just as State Street's did with digital assets, it's not going to just be overnight. It is trickle, 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 then flood. And that is why the people that are looking and doing their research now are going to be in the best position. And this is going to be a transfer of wealth. The question is how much and how many of these little bull runs will we get? Because if you guys keep in mind, when you look at the history of the crypto market, we are so early. Of course, it's a nascent market. I know you're sick of hearing that. But when you look at how long these bear markets are, how long the price goes sideways and down, and then how short the actual bull market is when the price goes up, 100x here, 100x there, 1000x there, that's really short and explosive. So the only people that are really going to make money are the people that are already owning the assets that are going to win. And yes, there's going to be some assets potentially that go up and don't actually serve a purpose, but I think long term those assets will die. There's 5,000 plus cryptos. I mean, I'm really only looking at maybe 100 surviving. All right, next up, King Solomon again, guys, XRP_owl. The first slide is meeting from the Bank of England for the real-time gross settlement renewal program. This is published May 1st. So again, the next three are from also the G20 report on cross-border payments. We're going to breeze through this. I know a lot of people have seen this, but I do find this really interesting, of course, kind of connecting these dots as always. So right here, we can see, BOE again, Mark Carney, guys, a huge advocate. If you realize, he even said things, who was saying it? I actually heard a YouTuber saying this too, and they had a great point. I'm not sure if it was Digital Asset Investor. It was someone with a really good point, but basically just saying, Mark Carney kind of, disrespecting the value of the US dollar reserve status. And if anyone else would say that, typically Trump and Mnuchin would kind of, speak against it. But they're buddies with, the Bank of England. We know the Bank of England was trialing Interledger Protocol and XRP back in the day. Buddies, even Miguel Valles talks about this, formerly head of XRP markets, formerly an executive at CME Group for kind of the metals market, the master of developing liquidity. I mean, there's just no question here. And even talking about this G20 setting, enhancing cross-border payments is key priority for 2020, right? This pandemic, kind of is pushing this as well. So there's different stages. We see assessment, building blocks, and a roadmap for implementation. And of course, you'll hear a lot about this, the Committee on Payment Market Infrastructure, again, the CPMI. We're going to read more about that. And just understand there's bigger things at play. In Bank of England, yes, they are a Ripple partner. All right. Now, this is from the G20. We can see, I believe FSB is a Financial Stability Board. You can kind of see the 3 stages and just kind of seeing what is coming to be. Right now, keep in mind, this is a central bank. Ripple said they're actively working with 50 central banks. And in the past, they've said that they're working with the top 40 to 50 central banks around the globe, or governments, I should say. So you do the math, you connect the dots. All right. Right here, even just talking about directly accessible shared ledger. Right. Talking about variations of DLT. And we can kind of just breeze through this. So we can see basic structures of trusted ledgers. So you can see a one-sided trusted ledger. You can see a multi-sided. You can see a direct accessible shared ledger. And we can also see a shared ledger via intermediation. All right. Next up, Matthew Liony making another great point, tying in some dots. So before we get into this, we do remember, even on XRP Arcade in this news, the MOBI, or Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative, actually kind of showed that Ripple is now a partner. Of course, we saw it was kind of updated, and Ripple is on their page and their community. And we already talked about Ripple and XRP and the benefits that they do, even with RippleNet. And I know Ripple as a company does have a lot of consultancy roles as a payments company that is a master and utilizes blockchain infrastructure. So it should be no surprise. The question is, will they use XRP? And we know that, XRP is not going to solve everything. There's going to be some cryptocurrencies that completely do a great job, appreciate substantially from utility in solving a real problem. My argument and my belief is that XRP is one of the best cryptocurrencies for the payments issue. Initially cross-border, but we've also seen domestic utility in applications as well. And then even with other protocols, we've seen the ability of streaming payments, and that is going to be the future. As we say in a lot of videos, and many people have pointed this out, imagine having a Netflix membership, and instead of paying $10 or $15 or $30 a month, you're only paying for what you use. So when you are watching Netflix on your TV, you are streaming, micro pennies, fractions of the dollar per the amount of time you watch or per the episodes you watch. Simply the future, guys. You pay as you go. Imagine when you're driving your car, you're only paying, thanks to IoT and tracking, you're actually only paying for your insurance, car insurance, when you are driving your car instead of paying a flat, $100 or $200 or $300 a month for your family. Interesting concepts, and it's not far-fetched. All right. I know Joel Katz, aka David Schwartz, CTO of Ripple, even had a great podcast recently, and what he said was, what was it? Was it with Chris Larson, executive chairman? He made a great point. He goes, yeah, just imagine, talking about the idea of Twitter in the 90s before the internet was really a thing. And you would have, been looked at like you're crazy. So you either have to survive another 10, 15 years or you just die entirely. It's all about timing. Timing is everything. All right. So again, anyways, with the Moby guys, we're talking about blockchain, DLT, distributed ledgers. Awesome. We'll kind of go back to the news now that Matthew Liny found. And now we can see this. So we have various groups, and kind of just as an abbreviation, kind of a synopsis, we have IOTA, we have groups like Hyperledger. Keep in mind, Hyperledger and Ripple kind of created Interledger Protocol, the protocol itself. We have XRP, the asset, and the XRP ledger is the ledger. So we have Accenture, of course, helping all of these groups. We've shown how they're helping ACI Worldwide, they're helping Ripple, they're helping Swift, they're helping R3. It's almost like this is really a planned digital transformation. Right, so we can see BMW, General Motors, Ford to start testing blockchain payments in cars. And yes, I know there was that hack with IOTA. I'm still bullish on them. I just am going off of the integrations. I think that there's going to be a future for them. And without a doubt, there's going to be a future with Ethereum. All right, there's just too many projects on Ethereum. They can fix their scaling. If they, successfully get to proof of stake, I think they're going to be fine. They're here to stay. All right. So again, talking about digital ID, talking about the benefits, vehicle ID systems, and payment processing. If you guys want to look up, more about this, feel free to. This is the Mobility Open Blockchain Initiative, MOBI. All right, let's keep going. Next, Stephen Bull from the DIP. So a lot of people may have seen this. Again, this is kind of old news, so don't be upset. I know there's all kinds of, old timers and experienced guys that have been here for a few years, and they get mad when we show new, old news. But I'm making these videos to show newcomers that are coming into the space and, potentially showing them one of many opportunities in this marketplace. So we know US SEC Chairman Jay Clayton had a private meeting with, and of course we know that, Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz have met with the Trump administration in the past. We can see this. Brad Garlinghouse, David Schwartz, and John Roscoe, special assistant to the U.S. president, actually have met with Jay Clayton during a private meeting. This was back in 2018 in August. So we can kind of see here, Chairman Jay Clayton's public calendar. Happy it's public. And we can see at 11 a.m. on Monday, August 20th, 2018, meeting with Ripple. All right. Pretty cool. And again, this could be discussing and just locking in the clarity, checking off the boxes. Who knows what it could be in regards to. But again, Ripple's been here since, the company itself and Ripple Labs, like 2012. We know their initiatives back with Ryan, Fugger in 2004. But really, since Chris Larson kind of really started going, is kind of one of the Ripple founders. I think that they've just been working with regulators, kind of doing meetings annually or staying in touch with everybody. They have, board of directors that were best friends with, government regulators and helped with the BIT license and worked with BlackRock and Morgan Stanley for years and years and years. This is not a group that's going to be, caught slipping to the same extent. And remember what happened with EOS when they got kind of in trouble with how they were operating in the beginning. They only got fined for the beginning. They kind of just, got a no, and then they were fine. They paid one minuscule fee. And Ripple's just been at an acquisition hunt, honestly. They've just been they keep going nonstop. So again, guys, here's the link if you guys want to check that out. Public calendar by Jay Clayton. Thought that was interesting. All right. Next, XRP Crypto Wolf. So we have another position. Look, Ripple's new VP of Marketing job role targets expansion with Wall Street institutions. So as we've been saying again, cryptocurrency traders, so institutional traders, just as we saw Brianne Madigan saying, we want to bring more institutional traders in this market, right? And XRP Enterprises, they're going to build Ripple's corporate brand by targeting larger players or large players in the world of finance and crypto influencers. Now, I found that to be interesting is that keyword crypto influencers. I'm not really sure what that means. I mean, even for me, just making videos and kind of going over news, how do you determine if someone is an expert in some new technology that hasn't really been around for decades? It's kind of tricky. So, I mean, I admit it, I'm learning every single day, and there's so many things that are changing. So I'm just trying to keep up. But right here, so new role at Ripple, we can see job listing, VP, designed to build Ripple's corporate brand by threading the needle and simultaneously targeting large players in the world of finance and influential participants in the world of cryptocurrency. So I'm sure you recognize the names, guys. Just think, Pompliano, Roger Ver, even like Arrington, Michael Arrington with Arrington Capital. I'm a fan of him. Things of that nature, guys. There's too many big names. CZ, Catherine Coley, all these CEOs of various exchanges, Brian Armstrong, etc. All right. Next, Theo X John sharing this. So Australia already ready for Ripple, hopefully. So as we can see here, Intralink, and again, just so you know, they are a global tech provider. So anybody from Australia, any Aussies, if you guys know of, this group, that's awesome. Just seems like they're kind of, wealth management, insurance based off their website. I was just kind of doing a brief look at them and seeing what's going on. But it seemed pretty cool. So again, they were even sharing a document, article of interest, Ripple payment system. What is Ripple? How does it work? Showing how it's distributed, kind of talking about, look, the simple mail transfer protocol for email, kind of comparing it to the two and just imagining if we could do that for payments as well, rather than just information. And I like that because I thought it tied it nicely. Ripple is a federated payment system, kind of going in depth in detail. So I did like this graphic a lot, talking about them with the Australian banks. We do know, many Australian banks that are already RippleNet partners. And we can go over those in a future video as well. But I mean, there's just plenty at this point, especially Stephen Bull from the D-Up kind of goes in depth in detail and showing all of that on a daily basis. All right. Next up, Matthew, Liny. So showing this, searching around this partnership, we got Mambu and Hey. So now we can see that these groups are, announcing this all the time. So we can see your balance in local currency. You can track what you spend. And importantly, foreign exchange fees now with the Visa is $0. We can see transaction fees in store or online are $0. All right. So we can see these international benefits and foreign exchange fees going down. Is it because we are just improving the domestic and, international rails with Swift GPI and messaging, or is there something more going on? I think that, a lot of these companies are partners with RippleNet already. Now, I mean, connections with many Ripple partners, of course. Ripple partners, I mean, they are partners with Visa, AWS, Amazon Web Services. We got Accenture again, as we've already gone over. And you can always remember, you can throw a tip to content creators on Twitter as well, and also receive them, just kind of a little peer-to-peer application. And I mean, I recommend you guys create an account. It's definitely fun. It's an app on your phone as well, and it's xrptipbot.com. All right. Now, just to go hand in hand with this, remember that we had this picture in the past. Right here, the announcement of Visa of the acquisition for the US $320 million of UK-based Earthport. So again, I've seen acquisitions for Earthport at $250 million or $320 million. But again, UK-based Earthport to unleash the power of Visa and take it beyond the card, the physical card, and work with Ripple in creating an alternative to Swift payments. That's a pretty bold statement right there. And again, that's Visa. So Visa and Ripple, of course, have been working in tandem. Should be no surprise. Just wanted to re-show that for newcomers. We can see the current model with, cross-border payments, unpredictable both in speed and price, makes ensuring the right amount arrives at the right time a challenge. But the cool thing is with Earthport, look, hub and spoke model, and they're RippleNet integrated, right? API does not only provide access to the Ripple ecosystem, but also offers access to a wide array of payment methods. So they don't have to use it. They can use the best option. But the idea here in the master plan is the more liquid XRP comes, the tighter the spreads and the cheaper the payments. I mean, near zero. That's what we're talking about. All right. Just in the very beginning of this, guys, this is, truly a revolution. All right, and this is on Yahoo Finance, just talking about Visa acquiring Ripple partner Earthport, $250 million. So I've seen, various figures. All right. Next up, XRP Crypto Wolf. So now we're going to talk about R3, MasterCard, IBM, and Accenture. Again, do you guys see the connections? Are working on a global digital privacy standard with the Linux Foundation. So we have the TOIP. I mean, kind of like voice over IP, I would just say VoIP. So I'm just going to say TOIP. The TOIP Foundation is a data trust coalition that aims to provide a trusted exchange of data and establish a global standard to ensure digital trust. So briefly, just to kind of go through here, notice that R3, again with Corda Settler, can settle with XRP, is kind of in tandem with MasterCard, just as Ripple with Visa. So briefly, again, just talking about payments, the needs for all of this, the consortium teaming up, working on private transactions. And there's going to be plenty of these groups, guys. We've talked about this. There's going to be so many walled garden tokens. They're going to be used. Yes, they're going to be used for settlements. It's not just going to be XRP. My argument, though, is when these walled gardens, whether it's 30, banks here or, 10 financial institutions there and a few gateways, they still need to interoperate on a level playing field, right? So they're going to be using a protocol to do that, right? And typically a crypto asset that transfers said value. All right, even right here, Trust over IP Foundation, again, TOIP. So as the promise to provide the digital trust layer that was missing in the original design of the internet and to trigger a new era of human possibility. By the executive director of the Linux Foundation, the combination of open standards and protocols, pan-industry collaboration, and our neutral governance structure will support this new category of digital identity and verifiable data exchange. All right. Next up, and we're finishing up here, guys, pay close attention. So XRP Crypto Wolf, China's blockchain leader, said digital currency is on track to reconstruct the global currency system. We talked about the importance of gold. We, talked about, the Shanghai gold bug, going in depth and detail about this. The leader of the blockchains research group at the National Internet Finance Association in digital assets will go mainstream and power payments at scale. All right, I don't even need to go into this article again, the Daily Hodl. If you guys have already seen that other previous article talking about Shanghai and the gold and kind of the currency reset and talking about the need for gold, and as China, the BRICS nations are going to be straying away from the US dollar reserve status. Some of the biggest nations in the world, Brazil, Russia, India, China. It's just, nonstop. All right. Pay close attention. Now, remember the additional news with Swift. We understand the messaging. We got the news that Ripple joins ISO 20022 standards body, guys. They are the first member to join, focused on, drumroll, distributed ledger technology to help enable the next step in global interoperability and meet the evolving needs of its customers. Remember, messaging is first, reconciliation, clearing. What's next? Settlement. That's XRP. Right? That is my belief. And it's becoming more likely by the day. When you see, billions of dollars being pumped into this asset, you see the metals, silver, XRP, all of them, these assets being suppressed. It's becoming more and more likely that there just could be a few big jumps rather than a slow and steady rise. And if there is a slow and steady rise, you don't think that companies or you and me are going to pay attention to that and then we'll, speculatively drive that value up as well? Either way, I think that when price starts moving, it will move quickly. Just like every bull run is relatively short. So, me, I've been planning, I've been accumulating, I've been holding for years, and I'm ready to go. So Ken, ISO 20022, an emerging global and open standard for payment processing, creates a common language, a model for payment data across the globe, guys. So again, who knows what RippleNet will do and play in a role with this, but keep in mind, they're the first group to be focused on DLT, and we know that, DLT alone, it's massive. There's well over 63 banks around the globe already investing heavily in DLT, saying it's going to play a role in the future of finance and accounting and record keeping. And yes, they still need the transfer value. All right. And again, changing the needs of the old structure. This was all built 40 years ago. So ISO hopefully is going to really help. It's already used by the payment systems in over 70 countries, and it's believed to be kind of one of the main standards for messaging specifically. We still need messaging, guys. So this is not competition to XRP. Please understand that. I just, I get frustrated reading some YouTube comments. But again, this is going to be the standard for high value payment systems of all reserve currencies, supporting 80% of global volumes and 87% of value of transactions worldwide in the coming years. And that's according to Swift. All right. And we're going to finish up with this here. So Matthew Liny, digital asset shared ledger. We're going to just say DASL, D-A-S-L, Enterprise Ready Solutions, trade and post-trade settlement. So again, another walled garden currency that we're just talking about. Pretty interesting. So we're just going to breeze through this. We can see, settlement, software as a service. All right. We can see Corda mentioned right here. No surprise. See all the, connections here, issuance, transfer and exchange, settlement, banking, and crypto integration. And again, they still need to integrate with, open source protocols, but this is a walled garden. It's permissioned. It's a permissioned type of database blockchain for privacy for their clients. It's obviously reasonable. I think that institutions, since they've already been utilizing blockchain, some for years and some just getting into the game, yeah, it's going to be private. All right. For security purposes, we can see tokenization again, settlements, and my favorite word, interoperability. It's coming. Please understand when you see this news, this is great. We need to drive for more innovation, more push of everything going digital. This is a good thing. This is not a threat to XRP. I'm trying to go over this all the time. And I guess we're just simply going to have to wait. But I'm going to keep talking to my echo chamber. I'm going to keep, speaking to this microphone when I have time. And I appreciate all of you guys that, share this video around. I am brain dead right now from ranting. I need some water. But again, guys, appreciate all of you, and I will see you in the next video.